You know what I love, dear viewer? Oh, hello there, by the way. I love recording for 25 minutes just to find out that I was not recording any audio. So it was just me for 25 minutes while walking around this Minecraft house. So we're gonna do it again. Welcome. Now, some of you, one of you at least, might have known that I kind of joked about doing a episode 1 Minecraft as my comeback video, which is, this might be that, I don't know, it's all pre-recorded, I don't know in which order it's gonna come out yet, I haven't planned that. Anyways, let's talk about this house. So, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a bird's eye view of the house. Now the lower level, because it's split into 3 different layers almost, was actually the original house, and this outcrop here did not exist. So I had a roof on it that sort of arched down with increasing steepness. That was eventually removed, and these 2 additional layers were added with a bit more of a simple roof. Now, the top of the house doesn't look all that great. I will admit that. I'm not great at making roofs. I think the house itself is actually looking quite good. Let's go ahead and take a look inside, and because this was the first thing that was built on this build. English is hard. Anyways, so because I'm a giant nerd, this book here actually has the prologue of my book in it, which I have read out loud on the channel. If you would want to hear it, which you probably don't, you can check that out. Anyways, so let me go ahead and take you through this. Now, again, this was the main house, and you can see it still has the crafting table actually, but pretty much everything was removed from here. And people were supposed to enter through here. That was the idea anyways. And that's why we have this extended platform out here, which makes it much easier to land with the Elytra, which is the wings that you can get in Minecraft, by the way, in case you didn't know. Now, I didn't just forget to place a stone brick here. There's actually a history behind this block missing. This used to be the way to get down into the mine. So this entire area out here did not exist at this time. I just wanted to point that out. Thought that was interesting. Now, if we go upstairs, again, I want to remind you guys, maybe I should have mentioned this right away. I guess what I meant to say is that I'm going to tell you that this was a survival world. This wasn't just something that I built in creative. It was just my house at the time. And so you'll see there is actually some stuff in these chests that I was using because this was my main base at the time. Also, if you wanted to get out here on top of this small shack that's part of the lowest level, you can do that. I don't know why you would, but you can. Then I have another sort of lookout post out here where you can overlook this area if you would want to do that. Don't know why you would. There's a bit of a funny story in relation to this because so I just come home from visiting friends, and there was this house. It was more of a castle, sort of like when I say house, it was sort of like the almost nobility, kind of very rich people of that era. And there was this amazing piece of masonry where the platform itself, which the garden we were built on, sort of extended into the sheer drop of the mountain wall itself. And that looked, that looked really cool. That had a impression on me. I wanted to have that pretty much on this side of the thing. Didn't end up doing it. It didn't really work with the build that I ended up going with in the end. Didn't think that I would encompass this entire valley, but whatever. So over here, again, we're on the second storage now. This was actually inspired by something that we had in France, where there was a lot of outdoor areas that had this sort of like metal frame almost, where you could attach like plastic foil to, which could protect you against gale force winds. And also, if you didn't want to get rained on, that's how you would do it. From here, you can get up to the 3rd level, which is the most unrefined by far. Never really got to complete this. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it, so I just divided it into a few rooms and then never did anything with it, really. From here, you can get up to the roof. And again, we have this E. This stands for Elytra. The joke is that it's supposed to be a helicopter pad, but it's just an E instead of a H. I know, high concept stuff, really. Let's go and take a look at this tower. I'm not gonna lie, this tower was built in creative. It was the home of one of my friends who were also playing at the server around this same time. And then if we take a look here at this treehouse, I think it turned out quite well. I really like how with a little bit of modding on the final crown here at the top, this platform doesn't make any sense. It extends out way too far. It looks like it's floating. It's not really supported by anything, and it doesn't have a counterweight on the other side. But other than that, I think it looks really cool. So the next thing that happened, I'm going to go through this in chronological order, just to give you guys a appreciation of how, I get here in the survival world, just, expanding my base little by little. I added this basement area here because there really wasn't, the upper area would get crowded really fast when I tried adding like functional blocks to it. Now here, we do have a brewing stand down here, but like most of the brewing took place upstairs, but we have a bunch of enchanting. We do have a maxed out enchanting setup over here, and we also have a few grindstones you could enchant, unenchant, enchant, unenchant until you got the stuff you wanted. And then for some reason, the blocks that was underneath these anvils has disappeared, but they were supposed to be up one level higher, and then you would use that to combine the gear. Good stuff. Now, actually, also we have a loom over here for banner making. This was supposed to be the banner of this whole place. That didn't really become a thing, but that's what was supposed to happen. Now up here, we're still kind of inside of it, supposed to look pretty. This is also smelter. Coal goes in here, item goes in here. Then if we head downstairs, hold on, I'm about to sneeze out my brains. I can feel it, it's coming. Anyways. So we have some stone, we have some brick, and for some reason, apples. Don't know how they got here. Probably put them there manually by accident, whatever. We're going to keep it in there. So, again, this is still part of like the main house, which is why you can see this is just to indicate that the upper section is supported down here, where the mountain or the main gate, the main tower of the main gate does not support it, just so that it wouldn't look so floaty. That was the idea anyways, but this is basically just a bunch of nothing if we're being completely honest. Then we go down a bit further, we can actually get out into like the main valley down here, which I'll talk about in the end, because that was the last thing that I did, more or less. Okay, anyways, so there is a way as well from here. This gets really confusing really fast, but this is, you can actually see how the auto smelter works here. It's very basic, just not pistons, hoppers and some furnaces. Now this is, before, this was my first like proper farm. The wheat I was actually using at this time, which is why you can see that that's kind of practical. Whereas the vegetable, the melons and the carrots, it's a bit more, let's say, sporadic. It's more of a decoration, really. I had plenty of those ingredients for potions, and I wasn't really using it for anything else. Now, this is where, again, this area... Oh, no, this is my storage area. So, originally, like, this was valuables. This was, like, valuable blocks, and then normal blocks, and I had one for wood, stuff like that. Tools and weapons and so on. I didn't end up doing that. Instead, I ended up doing a redstone system, where it just sorts each block individually. Let's see, do we have quartz? Yeah, so you can see all quartz goes into one chest. Each item and each block gets one chest, basically. Now, as we continue to proceed downwards, this is where things start to unravel. Things get less and less pretty. This is where my villagers lived, which is literally just a hole in the ground. I don't know, one time I loaded in and they were gone. I don't know if they died or if they despawned or what happened. Again, don't remember exactly what this was supposed to be, but I never completed it, so we will never know. Now we do have a walkway up here, which was also supposed to be used for more farms, which I'll show you in a second. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that this area above also existed. And this is pretty much for that whole purpose. Now, these farms do actually work. And the way that they work is that, if I can get these out, 4, was it? Yeah. So as the sugarcane continues to, as sugarcane continues to grow, these here will detect it. So when it reaches 3 high, what will happen is that it will then cut down all of the sugarcane in one fell swoop. right? And then I never managed to complete this because I ended up going with a different design, which didn't look quite as cool, but were way more efficient. Below here, there was supposed to be a minecart that would run back and forth and collect all of the sugarcane and put it into a chest. The sugarcane was just a test because really what I wanted was this. And as you'll see, there is a ton of bamboo down here. Now, this machine, as far as I'm aware, doesn't work anymore. It abused a glitch at the time that was called a one tick. And so you would switch this block back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it would cause the cactus to grow rapidly. And as soon as it did, it would then be chopped down and it would go into these hubbers. Now, I had the same thing going with bamboo, which would then go down here as well. So we're burning the cactus and we were burning it with bamboo, right? We'll then create green dye, which would be moved down here into these chests. So we were making endless and endless amounts of green dye. Now, we don't care about the dye itself. What matters is that when you remove it manually, hold on, let me see if I can do this. Game mode survival, right? Whoops. There we go. I don't know if this is actually ready. Okay, it was ready. So I just got 37 levels all at once, as you can see. Now, that has to do with the way that, I'm not going to explain it in its entirety, but it has to do with the way that experience is stored in furnaces when things is smelted. It's not, you don't get the experience when it's smelted. You get it when you remove the item. So if I remove an item with a hopper, right, I remove the item but not the experience. So I could keep stacking experience inside the furnaces forever. You can still do this, just not with the zero tick glitch. Okay, let me go ahead and get out of here, and we can take a look at the rest. So beyond this point, this stopped being practical, and it definitely became more of like a set piece, a vanity project, if you will. Now, on the finished build, I had a door here that went through this tower down here, and you could actually get up there without any elytra. Never quite managed to finish that, not this version at least. And then here, this dirt was also dug out and a proper tunnel was created out into the river system. Now, let's talk about this system, right? Because this actually connects out to an ocean. So, and this was never used. This was not practical. But people, in theory, could arrive here in boats and then, enter the castle through that approach. Now, these chickens were part of a prank that was pulled on me, and there were thousands of chickens. And I kept finding them. Somehow they got into the walls. I don't know how that happened. It's absurd. These are the only villagers that survived. And this is where I would get the diamond stuff from, right? I would sell, I think, paper. That's what I needed the sugarcane farm for. I get emeralds, and then I would use these emeralds to then buy like diamond armor and diamond tools. With the infinite experience machine, I would keep enchanting to get perfect gear over and over and over again to allow me to actually work at peak proficiency when building this. Now, this very last wall up here, this one piece was done with creative, which I regret so much because that means that this build was not done entirely in survival. Even this thing up here, which let me tell you, like getting this set up was a troublesome experience to say the very least. It's a iron golem farm. If you don't know what that is, we have a zombie down here. Zombie. Also, yes, I named him, but that's just so that he won't despawn. He's scaring these villagers over here, which causes, occasionally at least, it was a bit faster back in the day, but it would cause iron golems to spawn up here in the water, which is constantly pushing them towards the outside. And they would fall down here into the lava, and that would kill them pretty much instantaneously. And then, as you can see, the lava is also directional, so it would then, and because iron golems has so much health, it would take so long for them to die that by the time that they did eventually perish, they'd be on top of the hopper, and then all of their wonderful, wonderful iron ingots would be transported directly into this chest. Good stuff. So yeah, eventually I decided to expand out into this entire valley, cover everything in brick, and decorating it with these red markings, which, might I say, looks quite lovely. Also, there's a little bit of brick here. It's the only brick that I used in this entire build. I smelted a lot of it, and then eventually I decided to just get rid of it. I'm not sure why these iron blocks are here. I think this was part of a beacon system back then that I never ended up completing. But yeah, some flowers here and some lovely stuff. I think one of my favorite parts is just walking along this fictional lake, but it is very cathartic in a way. I don't know. It just sort of puts you at ease in a good way. Now, this down here is another practical part of the base, actually, which I kind of forgot to mention. But this is like the wood, the tree farm, whatever you want to call it, right? And so, as you'll see, and I do like this because this is the stuff that, even if you try, you don't really find this in a true creative build, right? Someone actually lived here, and you can kind of feel that. Now, the living part actually took place in here, right? So anything outside these gates, that's just for decoration. So we're leaving the realm of, okay, this is a usable base to let's make a spectacle, which is probably also why I never finished it, because that was kind of boring. Anyways, this was the area in which I wanted to have my animals. I think I did end up getting them here in the final build, but I can't actually remember for sure. Also, I started some that's actually a really cool effect. Anyways, I started some the Nether is penetrating into our world and stuff. It didn't really turn out that well, and I didn't put that much work into it. Anyways, this I really like. It's almost like a motel or like a 19th century inn. I like it. I think it's good on the outside. On the inside, it's terrible, right? It's too boxy, but that's like the consequence. It needed to be like the wooden structure, which is basically the inside, needed to be boxy in order for this kind of masonry design to really make any kind of sense. So it looks good on the outside, not so much on the inside. Anyways, I built the roof of these buildings, but I never actually completed the buildings themselves. The beacon is here because I needed it to be here if they were meant to be a permanent fixture. Over here, this was actually completed in the newest version, which I can't find, but we had a nether portal down here. Yeah, so we decided to do the nether stuff here instead. And then we had a lever that you could pull. It was up here, I think, up here somewhere. And then the stairs was in quick succession. And that way you could just walk in and out normally. Now, while the portal was on, instead what we had was a button that you could press down here. It has a 3-wide slime block piston grid that would just push you up. And then, of course, you'd be able to... you didn't even have to jump, it just pushed you up here. So you would do a forced jump to get up on this platform. The benefit of this is that the zombie pigment that sometimes spawns through the portal into our world can't push buttons. So, it was a way for you to get out of here without them being able to just roam this area, because I didn't want to suddenly find them just wandering around. Not that they're hostile, but that's not something I wanted to deal with. Also have to talk, can't just start going down here. But yeah, anyways, this was a bit naive, but this was supposed to actually be the mine. It is incredibly non-practical to get in and out of, but it fits right into a adventure map. I think, maybe, who knows? I might be, overestimating my own abilities a little bit here, but, I do feel that this is looking, I guess, pretty good. It's pretty serviceable. Again, this was built survival, believe it or not. Okay, so I was thinking back then that I could have, an area here, maybe, if I remove these. So I could actually have the mine in here, which would just have been a normal mine. I did not plan on decorating the mine itself. That could have been kind of cool, I guess, but that is a lot of work to build that, right? That's a whole city in of itself almost. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I think I've showed you everything. I do want to punctuate just how cool I think this gate looks. Please ignore these additional textures on the glass that obviously wasn't here when we first built it. It works quite well. It's it extends and indents on itself, creating all these shapes. I like that a lot. I also like the Brits. I think it's it's cool. I don't know what else to say. I don't really like how low these lanterns are hanging. That's the one thing I would change. But that's just one small pity thing. Also, as a very, very last note, you can actually take this railroad all the way up to the top of the tower. That was actually how you would get up to the treehouse itself. So there's a hollow point in the center where you can actually travel all the way up with this railroad. Anyways, I guess thank you guys so much for watching. I'm surprised that you're still here, but I appreciate it, like, for real. And, I do look forward to seeing you in the next one.